he was here Friday, even though it was vacation. That's true. All right. Okay, here we are, Monday, August 1st. Oh, it's the first time today I've said August 1st. That fills me with an interesting set of emotions. Management meeting, we're sort of low compliments today because of various reasons, but let's go around. If it's short, it's short. Any questions for the management team as it exists today? Michelle?
No management questions. If we have time, I have a technical question.
Sounds like the deep dive after this.
All right, as long as I get to ask them of you.
Okay. All right. Bryce. Whichever Bryce wants to answer can answer.
I think they keep having two videos. So I don't have any new questions, but I'm realizing that David has been out the past 2 weeks. I have shown something involving a new GitHub flow, not flow. Okay. It's really just a new little widget that we sort of brainstormed, and we were trying to come up with things that we could get better, like more user feedback from users, because we have our little bottom feedback, which is good, but it's not a ton of people use it. And so one of the things I did was just make this shorter and a few screens instead of much longer ones. But the other thing I did was add a little tiny did we help you? The language is customizable, but sort of the default is just did we help you, with a thumbs up, thumbs down, and that saves locally to the server of just someone gave a thumbs up on this interview at this time. And I think with that version too, so we can see versions which people are more likely to do thumbs up or thumbs down. And then we also have a little anonymous, you can type whatever you want, and that gets saved in a similar place.
All right.
And so I think that the only actionable thing is just does that make sense? And do you have any thoughts on it? Since I think I know Michelle's given a ton of valuable feedback, and so has Caroline.
Yeah.
And so
I like it. I like 2 questions. I like short. I like optional narrative, but just clicking in the click. Something that might be worth, and I don't think we have sufficient mass to think about this, but I can put it out there so it's in the sort of in the virtual agenda. Is I like that. I like simplicity. The fact that the language is customizable means we can worry about wordsmithing later. Like for one thing, tell us what we can do to better help you. It's possible they might also be saying everything's great, so we might also want to elicit positive feedback. So something like, tell us what worked and what didn't, or what didn't work or what did. Or we could even customize it based upon if they give a thumbs up, we could say, tell us what worked for you. And if they give us a thumb down, we could say, tell us what didn't work. But the one thing that I might think about is it's very common in user feedback to use Net Promoter Score.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is basically the same thing, except instead of a binary helpful, not helpful, it usually gets asked as, would you be willing to recommend us to someone else facing the same problem or something like that? And there's a good amount of, I'm not going to call it social science research, but it's more along the lines of, advertising research and such, to show that that's a good measure of sort of user interactions. And the nice thing is that it's a standardized measure that a lot of people use. So if we were able to get metrics on our Net Promoter Score, that's something we could say, oh, we got a Net Promoter Score of this, and then we could compare it to other things. So it's just one thing to consider. Okay. Michelle, do you know what Net Promoter Score? Are familiar with Net Promoter? Yeah. Okay.
You just do scale of 1 to 5. Yeah. How likely are you to recommend this to someone else?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was a thing we looked at Leo's sort of feedback page, which is also in a separate page like this button is, but it's but it's more geared toward just specific feedback and not we also found a bug or something, because that's ours is sort of serving double duty. but yeah, that was, and I think that's a thing that they have of a net promoter score on there. So I think that's at least good thing to throw out.
But we could do it. It could be instead of the thumbs up, thumbs down.
I think you wouldn't want to add. Yeah.
I see. Okay. That makes sense.
So that's just something to consider. The question is, like, what are we going to do with the feedback, and what is going to be the most useful for us to improve the experience for the user?
Yeah. My take on, at least my take while doing this, was that I feel like we generally have a good set of things that we know that make interviews better, like having better like progress, having like better help buttons, and sort of just better information. Like we know which interviews sort of need more attention, or if we do pay attention, we know how to improve most interviews, and we know like which interviews are shining stars. So essentially, and so I think I made this in mind as just more of a triage thing, so we can take into account both like which interviews are important and like a lot of people use, and also which interviews get a lot of like negative attention, or say like you could do this a lot better, I was really confused, or something like that. We can sort of combine those to have a better triage of if when we do run to revisit interviews and improve them, we can start with the ones that actually need the help the most. Is sort of what was at least what I had in mind when we were doing it.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. A finer grained scale might help with triage, so it's not just buckets of good and bad.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
And then the other thing that occurs to me is that you could, because the feedback link is sort of hidden down there, you could resurface it afterwards. So it could be our click, then the narrative, and it's like, want to provide more detail. Here's a feedback form. Although that might be duplicative. As I think about it, it might be duplicative because we're asking them to do a narrative. They can put anything they want in a narrative. I guess it's how we frame the narrative.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you could maybe it could be something that's like, if you have a specific bug problem or this, please fill out this feedback form. After the narrative or something. Or maybe before the narrative. So it's like, you said you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't recommend this to anyone. If you have a specific bug problem or something that's not working, please fill out this longer form. Otherwise, just tell us what, or just tell us what we could improve here. Yeah, Michelle.
It also occurs to me that we might want this on kickout screens as well, like any ending.
Yes.
I'm not sure how that would.
Yeah. So technically, that is
automated.
So yeah, that is the only downside of this sort of approach, is that we can't automate it, because it looks something like, scroll down to where I added it. Where did I add it? I think I scrolled past where I added it.
I think if there's a kickout screen, I wouldn't want it until after you had the first interaction. I don't want to be like having interact. I like the idea of feedback right in line, where you can say something yay nay right away.
That's why it wasn't red. But yeah, it's not automatic, but it is a matter of just adding these two lines to whatever screen we want to add it to, and so it can go on whatever screen we want. It kick out screens, ending screens. So. Okay.
Right,
yeah, those are definitely definitely good thoughts. I know we've gone over this a lot, and I just wanted to make sure that David had explicitly seen it. So
yeah, the Likert scale is the biggest thing. The other stuff is all details. And I would like to get other people. I would like to hear other people's thoughts on the Net Promoter. The one thing I do like is that other people do Net Promoter, so we could compare ourselves to other people, and that would give us some benchmarking.
That is a really good point. I don't think we had been considering outside comparisons. So, okay, I'll make at least a thought discussion on that.
Cool. All right. Well, any other management-y question things? As we discovered, we can't get very far in management discussion with not these two people missing. But we can throw ideas out there. All right. Well, then we'll stop, and then we'll move into deep dive. And Michelle had a question.